businesses grow and thrive and make money, I might as well do it for my own business and my husband's business, you know. So yeah, after 33 years, I'm following my dreams.
Welcome to Unexpected Journey, the show where each week top professionals share work wisdom and life lessons about their careers and what they have learned about human experience in the workplace. I'm your host, Ann Bibb.
Heidi Solomon Orlick is an award-winning BPO industry veteran with over 30 years of global sales and executive leadership experience. Heidi is Chief Growth Officer for the Doors Group and founder and CEO of Girls Who Sell, LLC, an organization that is committed to democratizing professional sales and building the largest pipeline of diverse, early-stage female sales talent. She is also the host of the Girls Who Sell Spotlight podcast, a two-time author who recently released the book, Heels to Deals, How Women Are Dominating in Business-to-Business Sales, and is a two-time Gold Stevie Award winner for Women of the Year in Sales.
Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and leave your comments below. Now let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome back, not just to you, but to our very first repeat guest. Welcome, Heidi.
Thank you so much, Anne. I appreciate you having me back.
I'm excited. I'm excited for a couple of reasons because one, always love talking to you, but you are the epitome of what we are about, and that is taking the unexpected journey and seeing where it's going to go. And a lot has happened to you since your last time here.
Yeah, absolutely. As we were saying, career paths are definitely not linear, and sometimes unexpected things happen, and you just have to go with the flow.
You know, going with the flow is a little scary sometimes.
It can be.
It can be. And you have had a 30 plus year career in corporate in the corporate world.
That's right.
And
Actually, more if you consider 10 years in the advertising agency business. So pretty much 4 decades, but 33 years in business process outsourcing.
And recently you made a change and pivoted away from corporate.
I did. So, made the decision to exit out of corporate. I'll tell you at 64, if you had told me that I was going to be transitioning into full-time entrepreneurship, I probably would have told you you had lost your mind, but here we are and it's what we're doing. So I'm going to double down and really focus on expanding and growing Girls Who Sell, which is obviously been something I've been doing over the last 3 years as a side hustle and passion project, and made the decision to make it my full-time gig. But I'm also going to be supporting my husband as his chief growth officer. He owns a local real estate company called the Doors Group, which is powered by Keller Williams. And I made the decision that if I'm going to be spending my days helping businesses grow and thrive and make money, I might as well do it for my own business and my husband's business. So yeah, after 33 years, I'm following my dreams.
It's interesting to me though, because I hear a lot of people these days talk about making that change, making that pivot to start working for themselves and start the entrepreneur journey. I'm one of many. You're now one of many. Um, what what was it? There's a lot of thought that goes into that decision. What was that one thing that really pushed you over and said, you know what? I'm ready. I'm ready to take that leap.
Well, I'd like to say that I didn't have a push, but I did have a bit of a push. So my position at the company I was working for in addition to 65 others, was eliminated.
It's happening a lot
And
these days.
it is. A lot of companies are downsizing or right sizing, depending on how you want to think about it. So I was really faced with a decision of whether I wanted to continue what I was and had been successfully doing over the past, 3 decades. Going and working for another BPO company, either in executive leadership or sales leadership role or an individual contributor role, or make a change. And Girls Who Sell is something that I have been really passionate about. When after my parents passed, and we had talked about this on your last show, spent a lot of time thinking about legacy and impact, and what I could do to leverage my expertise in professional sales and combine that with my passion for working with young women. And Girls Who Sell was born as a way to democratize professional sales and help solve for the pipeline gap. It's something that I've been doing successfully, and I'm proud of what we've accomplished over the last 3 years, but really wanted to take the business to the next level. And I'll tell you, I've had major swings, thinking about going from totally elated and excited and yeah, I've got this, to absolute terror and fear, and thinking, have you lost your mind? You're walking away from a salary and a 401k and benefits and something that you've been comfortable doing for so many years. And I had a lot of conversations about, with trusted advisors and friends and sort of my personal board of directors that said, listen, you know what? You have nothing else to prove in the BPO world. You've spiked the ball. You've closed over $1 billion in business over your 3-decade career. You've created thousands of jobs around the world. You've worked with some of the most prestigious brands for some great BPO companies. So, what more do you have to prove? And I was thinking, gosh, that's true. I don't have anything to prove to anybody but myself. And so I was thinking about my next step. It was like I really started to have a lot of conversations around, if not now, when? I'm 64 years old. If I don't do it now, when? And if not me, who? So that was the big aha moment for me that just said, you know what? Just go for it.
You said something just now that I hope everybody really heard. And it's so important. And not just when you're going out on your own, but when you're going out for a new job, when you're trying to make decisions about your future, when you're just considering real big life and career changes. You consulted with your trusted advisors and your personal board of directors. And
Right.
I want to hit this pretty hard because I know many people across many different industries who have these individual trusted advisors and personal board of directors. So when you said that, talk to our guests, talk to our listeners about what did you mean? Because those are really two different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who are not necessarily who, like you don't have to give your secrets away on who those are, but how did you come across your trusted advisors? How did you develop your personal board of directors and like, what does this involve in your life? How do you figure out who to go to about what?
Yeah, so they are two different things. And so I'll start with the personal side of it. And of course, that tends to be, close friends and family that know and who know you, right? And know what makes you tick. And are individuals that are going to call out your bullshit, that are going to, um, be honest, and transparent and have an absolutely authentic conversation about what they feel is best for you, for me, right? So it's individuals that that when you talk to them and you go to them and you ask them, listen, or you tell them, this is what I'm thinking about, could you give me some input? What do you think? They're gonna tell you like it is. And those are the people, and I don't want to surround myself with people that are just yes men or yes women or whatever. I want to surround myself with people that are going to challenge me on a personal level, because that makes me better. And it gives me the ability to really be able to step back and take a look at myself, from a different lens. So that's my personal board of directors, people that are going to hold me accountable, that they're going to be honest and truthful about what they feel is the best thing. And it's not about them. It's actually literally about, this is what I believe is the best thing for you.
So, when you were weighing all of these things, talking to your advisors, talking to your board of directors, what were the things that they said? Let's get these in order. What were the kind of questions that they asked to kind of check you and make sure you were ready, or be the cross check advocate for you? What did they recommend you have in line before you made the jump?
Well, definitely finances was something that was brought up consistently. That you need to feel confident that that your finances are in order. What does that look like? How much time are you going to give yourself to be successful and really make it go? Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Is it 2 years? Whatever it is, and only I and my husband and my family really know our financial situation. But we needed to really take a look at that, and needed to get buy-in from my husband and my family about making this kind of major shift and major decision, because it doesn't just impact me, it impacts my entire family, making this kind of decision. So that was a first checkpoint. And then it was really taking a look at, what's important to you at this stage in your life. When you think about what you want to accomplish in the next year or 3 years or 5 years or 10 years of your life, or however, whatever that time frame is, what does that look like? And all of them encouraged me to really journal and to do some self exploration as to what is really important. um, and and then thinking about, if I'm feeling fear, what is it that is causing that fear? Is it because I'm afraid that I won't be successful? Is it because I'm afraid that I'm going to lose the perceived security of a corporate job? Um, is it, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that it could be. What was interesting for me is that the fear for me was losing my identity, and becoming irrelevant, because so much of who I am has been tied to my corporate position, that making the decision to exit out of corporate, I had to really think through, okay, so who am I now? And what does reinvention look like? And how do I redefine myself? And start to begin to really to recognize that I am not my job. I'm not my title. I'm not how much money I make. I'm much more than that. And so that was a big part of beginning to think through that. And then another big part of the fear for me, and maybe some of our listeners or you listeners can really get this, is not only of, okay, now who am I, right? But how do I fill that empty space? And so I've been working with a spiritual advisor and business consultant since the time my position was eliminated. And because, and she's part of my advisory team, right? Saying, gosh, my inclination one is to either, okay, I'm just going to go and get a new job, or, oh my gosh, I have all this time right now that was being filled up by all the work that I had to do for the companies that I was working for. How do I fill all this empty space? And what she advised me, which has been really hard but really brilliant, is that sometimes you just need to sit in the silence, because if you are okay in sitting in the silence and resisting your inclination to fill that empty space, you can hear what the universe is trying to guide you to do.
I know a lot of individuals that, one, work is their identity. And when they lose a job, they go into a spiral.
Oh,
Um,
deep depression.
oh, absolutely. And two, um, those same individuals, or maybe even some that are like right outside the cusp, if their calendar is not jam packed with stuff, they don't feel like they are being productive. They
Right.
feel like they are, leaving something on the table. And I mean, like, back to back, and not just even in work, like in their regular life. You look
Oh,
at their
yeah.
weekend schedule and you're like, how? They're going from one to another to another there's no sitting in silence ever. It's
It's
constant busy.
truly, yeah. I just read an article, and they call it work addiction, but I think it's so much more than just work, right? Like I do believe that we are conditioned to, uh, feel that if we're busy all the time, and that we're productive, then then we're worth something, that there's, that we can place some kind of value on that. And that, if we're just sitting and reading a book, or, oh my goodness, that's not,
That's
productive,
not
or I
productive.
that's not productive, right? And I do, I'll call myself, call it a spade, right? Like I do believe that I have been addicted to that level of productivity. And so it's super scary to think about, as a part of my reinvention process, of carving out more time for self-care and for myself, and to do the things that are important, just because, not necessarily that they're that it's gonna move the needle in anything. It's just because I want to, or, it's something that's important for me at the time. So I think people that really do need to evaluate and assess that, and take a look at it. And this is no judgment zone. Listen, I am as guilty as anybody of filling my time. What's also been interesting, though, that even that since my announcement about transferring out of corporate, I, probably like you and everyone else listening, I've had so many people reach out to me. Oh, well, I'd love to partner, and let's have a coffee chat. And I don't even know. I get, 100 messages today, or a day, of people doing that. And what's been interesting in this, okay, should I just fill up all this empty space? Is I could sit for 8-10 hours a day, and be on coffee chats, and not do, and feel really productive, but not do anything to move the needle in my business. So one of the things that I'm really trying to get better at is to be more protective of my time, and really think about, listen, I love mentoring women. I love just doing coffee chats, but I can't do it 8-10 hours a day and still run a business and help my husband grow his business. So maybe I carve out, 2 hours a week or 3 hours a week, that is going to be my time, that I'm going to fill, and I'm going to do coffee chats, and I'm going to mentor people, and I'm just going to talk to people just because. But then everything else, I need to be very much more protective of my time, because I need to focus on the things that are going to help, um, help me meet my objectives and why I did this in the first place.
Protecting your time is one of the most difficult lessons to learn as you move up in any role, because you want to be there to help, you want to be there to mentor, you want to assist, you want to be available to
Of
your team
course.
and to really anybody else that reaches out. But if you don't protect your time, then you are not going to be able to have the brain space to have those creative moments, to be able to be there for your team or your family or yourself and accomplish your own goals. You have to protect your calendar. You have to protect your time.
And I think I completely agree 100%, and especially as an entrepreneur, because when you're in corporate, your time isn't your own for the most part. For me, I was going from meeting to meeting to this meeting to that meeting. I was, hosting client visits. I was doing client presentations. I was prospecting. I was doing team meetings. I was coaching my team. I was doing gazillion different things. My time was not my own. Then you're out of corporate and you got all this time, you got an empty calendar. I remember my first day that I transitioned out of corporate, my first day, and my calendar was completely empty. I was like, oh my God, like, my God, what do I do? It quickly filled up, by the way, um, but I think as an entrepreneur, and in particular, you need to really think about how to protect that time, because one, you can never get it back, and two, it's finite, and you only
As
have a
much as
certain
we
number
don't
of
want to
hours
admit
left.
that.
It is. It
It
it just
is.
it just it just is. And even though it feels good. Listen, it feels good to go on and do a mentor call or a coffee chat and everything else. And I'm not saying that that's not still a priority, but as an entrepreneur now, and I control my calendar and my time. I'm really trying to carve out blocks of time, do a better job of time blocking. I'm going to spend time strategizing. This, I'm going to just spend time being quiet. This, I'm going to spend this number of hours. I'm going to spend time in coffee chats and mentoring individuals. I still have to prospect in my business. I mean, listen, that's part of entrepreneurship. If you're not generating revenue, then you don't have a business. So I have to carve out time for that. So yeah, just trying to get better, a little bit better at that.
So you are not only our first repeat guest, you are our first guest to come back and play this or that for a second time.
Oh, okay.
So this is I think that I hope that we are getting different phrases this time, but the way the game works, you just never know. We may get the same words and we'll see if it's the same answers. So, you remember how the game is played?
I do. I don't remember the questions you asked
I
me initially.
don't
So.
either. But they're out there so people
We'll
can
see.
side by side
I'm
them.
kind of a new person since the last time we talked.
You
So
are. You
we'll see
are.
if my answers are different.
So, first one is summer vacation or winter vacation?
Definitely I like doing a winter vacation, but I do like going to someplace warm. So
So, it's a winter vacation in a summer location.
summer location. Isn't that a dichotomy?
This is hard because I love the beach. Love it. Like, I sleep to the sound of the ocean and it's very relaxing. but I'm in Texas, and let's face it, the only time you see snow is when the whole state shuts down for 2 weeks.
That's
So, I mean, snow is not a good thing here. And I think in reality, we really see ice more than we ever see snow. I think we've seen snow
right.
maybe once a decade. So I go with winter and go to some place that sees real snow and not the black snow. Like, I
Right.
want to go someplace that it's beautiful and white because we don't get that here. Like, I can go to South Texas and go to a beach. I get summer all year long. Like, I want to go someplace that I don't get to experience. So I'm going to go with winter, snow, beautiful winter wonderland
Yeah,
place.
I am not a beach person. So even when I'm going someplace warm, you're not going to find me, in a hammock
Not
on the beach.
frolicking
So I'm
on
a
the
little
beach,
bit different.
running in slow-mo like Pamela Anderson
No,
in
you're not gonna
Baywatch.
find me, like running. I'm more inclined, like for instance, my husband and I, for in December, which is real cold here in New Hampshire, just booked um, a trip to South America. So we're going to Rio and all through South America. So that's my kind of, all right, I'll do it in winter, but I'll go somewhere that's a little warmer, or going to Bali, or going to Thailand, or, those kinds of
Love Bali.
destinations where, but I have always said, like when I did my community service, environmental conservation project, I went to Thailand and Cambodia for 3 weeks. No, close to a month, and I worked with the Mahoots, and I lived down in. We went to remote villages in Thailand and lived with host families, and then I went to Cambodia and taught English to young kids in school. That was all done in the winter. It's like, okay, take me out of the snow and put me in someplace warm where I can actually, um, I don't know, still do something more
So
than
we're
I
we're
don't know,
both going
not to
someplace
not
that we don't get what we get.
that,
Yeah,
yeah, do something that still fills my soul.
I love it, love it. Road trip or cruise?
Oh, cruise. I've really become a cruiser. This trip, South America trip, we're going on a cruise, and it's just something that I've really loved over the last couple of years, just because you get to see lots of different destinations in a very short period of time, and so I've really come to enjoy cruising.
I
Now
have
it's a little bit of a
too.
problem because my husband is not like love cruises, but I have convinced him that it is a good way to go.
I used to be very much a road tripper. Like, I loved me a good long 10-day road trip, see the world kind of bit. Loved it. But I have transitioned over to cruising for a couple of reasons. One, I no longer have to be part of the driving team.
Exactly. That's a big
That's
reason.
a big one. Two,
Exactly.
not restricted on locations anymore. Like, let's face it, when you're on a road trip, it is, limited ways to go. And there's just something, again, the ocean sound, the
I
ocean,
love.
and there's so many places you can see. Yes, sometimes it's just 1 day or 2 days that you're at dock, but you know what? I probably wouldn't have seen that place had it not been for that port of call.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
absolutely
I
have
I
gotten
agree.
used
Now
to.
I don't mind doing like a weekend road trip. Like my husband and I love doing our weekend road trips. We'll go to Portland, Maine. We'll go to Connecticut. We'll go to Vermont. We'll go to Montreal. Even it's only 4 hours away. So short road trips I'm super into. But if I'm going to go for an extended period of time, I love that I don't have to think. And I just book
Yes.
the cruise, and then I know where I'm going to be when, and I don't have to think about it. I plan all my excursions, and then it's just, and
And then
Not to
you just
mention the
show
food
up
is
and you're like,
awesome.
"Oh,
And
look,
you
I'm
just show
here."
up. And for those of us that have to think so much and constantly, plan and have
Oh,
control of our lives, it is so
the decision fatigue is
right.
real.
It's so great. It's so real. It's so great to be on a cruise and just say, you know what? Just tell me where to be when, and I'm good. And if I'm on the ship and just sailing that day, I hit the spa. I'll go do napkin folding. I'll do completely brainless things
Yes.
that I just go play
Sometimes
games,
I
go
just
to
like to go
shows.
sit in that front area where you can just
Right?
watch and you just relax and zone out and just watch where you're going.
Watch where you're going. See?
And
So
it's
you and
just fantastic.
I feel a cruise in our future.
I do too, Heidi, like a girls' cruise. Hey, anybody else in the women who sell?
Girls
Oh,
cruise.
girls'
Let's do it.
cruise. This could be arranged. Yes. I see this coming up on Heidi's and mine's link in bio soon. So, all right, last one. And what is it going to be? It is going to be coffee shop or bakery. Oh, this one's easy for me. What is it for you?
Oh no, coffee shop for sure. Um, I, I can go hang out. Again, that's another really good place for me to uh, get out of my head. And I'll go to a Starbucks and just sit and have a coffee and get a toasted plain bagel and just be able to sit there and chill. And it's a really if I want to get out of my office and get out of my head, a really good coffee shop is where you'll find me.
I am a coffee too. Now, don't get me wrong. I love bakeries, but we've already had this conversation. I am a celiac and there
Mm.
just aren't, I mean, I have seen lately more and more like gluten-free bakeries popping up, but until I find one that is 100% gluten-free, has some like equivalent yeast rolls, croissant, sourdough, like good old, like you want to pop them like you pop the Golden Corral yeast bowls. Like until you get that. Oh, and cinnamon rolls and blueberry muffins. Oh, I could just go on all day. Can you tell? I miss me some bread. Um, it's gonna
So
have to be coffee shop.
I'm also feeling your next stage in your entrepreneurship journey is you need to go open up a bakery.
I used to own a bakery. Did you know
No
that?
way, I didn't know that.
Yes, I did. I owned a bakery in the aughts, before I was diagnosed as celiac. I made huge, gigantic wedding cakes. Um, I was not too shabby at it, but that was it was a blip in Anne's journey where I had stepped away to do my passion. Uh,
Which is baking.
and
That's
that was a
awesome.
very
I
small
did
time.
not know that about you. Wow,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
yeah.
Well, who knows? Maybe that's a
That was a long, long time ago, and I haven't practiced in a very long time, and my hands are a lot shakier than they used to be.
Mhm.
We know what
Well,
happens.
so I'll find you at the coffee shop then.
You'll find we'll have coffee shop. We'll have coffee on the cruise.
There you go.
There
There
we
you
go.
go.
There we go. So, talking about women who sail, this is October is a
Yes,
very special month
it
for
is.
women who sail.
That's right. It's Women in Sales Month.
And that's kind of one of the reasons that we wanted to chat again. So, what exactly, talk to me about the importance of this month for women in sales.
It's an opportunity to celebrate women in the profession and to amplify and support women. in the sales profession is the way I think about it. There's a lot of events and a lot of uh, women in sales communities come together, and what I love is that we lift each other up, and we utilize this month as an opportunity to really talk about sales, to be able to begin to debunk some of the negative perception and myths about sales, um, create education, and just support each other, and hopefully inspire young women from a girls who sell perspective to consider a career in sales, which I happen to think is one of the best careers in the world.
It can be for sure. And I was looking up some facts about women in sales. And as of February of 2023, women make up just under 30% of the sales industry. And
Right.
most of those are filling customer service and account management role. And when we start talking about the leaders, so the leadership of the industry, only 26% of leaders in the sales industry are women or people who identify as women. And when I heard those numbers, I was pretty shocked because I know that when we start talking about equality and we start talking about women breaking the glass ceiling or moving up in leadership, and I start hearing numbers like, it's closer to 40%. But we have to get more granular when we look at specific roles in specific industries. So I was kind of surprised to see 26% in leadership of women in
Yeah,
sales.
that's higher than the numbers I've seen, but it's improving. You see some recent, data that was just published about, the increase in women in percent of women in the C-suite, and the challenge that I see, particularly in sales, is is maybe twofold. Two is when you look at those numbers, if you look at that 30%, um, of so it's probably 26% of the 30%, I would think, because the numbers I've seen are about 19%. When you look at women in leadership, it's about 19%. So it's like 30% overall. When you look at women in sales leadership, it's about 19%. When you look at women in tech sales, it drops to about 12. And then when
Oof.
you look at women of color, or
Oh,
any
that's
other kind of diversity statistic, it drops into the low single digits, and
that
that is
that's just not acceptable at all.
it's just dismal, right? So, um, that actually that's why Girls Who Sell was born, was to try to solve for that issue, and it's going to take a village. It's going to take all of us to be able to move the needle, particularly in increasing the numbers around diversity. You talk about women breaking the glass ceiling. I'm not sure that that is as big of an issue, because women do have the motivation and desire to um, accelerate their careers and to break into higher level leadership positions. What's happening, and I saw just a recent article, I think it was in the Wall Street Journal or maybe Harvard Business Review, I don't remember, but it was about the broken rung. And what's really happening is that women are not being held back by the glass ceiling per se, but they're that they're where things begin to break as they're moving from director level to VP. So it's really in that mid level area of career development where the biggest issue and problem and challenge happens, right? So I know that needs to be fixed. I really think we need to look at that and what kind of training and career pathing and investment are corporations making to their mid-level managers so that they can continue to career path up. It's also the time in that mid-career level where a lot of women are taking career breaks. So they may be exiting to take care of families, and that's causing some challenges as they begin to enter back into the market. Um, that their experience and the value that they can bring to the table is being diminished by corporations. And I just think it's like, get over it, right? Okay, just because a woman decided to take a career break doesn't mean that she's any less valuable.
So, what do you think is happening in that timeline? Director to VP. There's and that could, I mean, you specifically identified that, right? But there are other areas that's happening too. So, what
Yeah.
do you think that's happening in that gap, aside from potential career breaks, that could be of assistance, or maybe is it something that Girls Who Sell could help with, or
Well,
what is
we
happening?
focus, yeah, we focus on early stage talent. So, our focus is really beginning to build the pipeline and of diverse talent, position sales as viable uh, and reputable and lucrative career alternatives. There's a lot of really good organizations like Women's Sales Pros and Girls Club and Women in Sales and the National Association for Women Sales Professionals and others that are doing some fantastic work, working with women to help them uh, take their careers to the next level, to give them the skills and training to career path up in sales. But and so those are organizations are great, but I don't and I don't have necessarily any data to back this up, at least not just handy to me right now. But I really do believe that companies are not doing enough to really invest in women and to create environments and with very specific training and career pathing so that women have a very clear idea of exactly what they need to do to be able to progress up through the organization. And um, and it's a problem. And so they exit, or they go, women exit, or they go do something else, or they transition into entrepreneurship, or because they're not get companies are not making the investment that they need to make in their growth in order for them to be successful.
Is this generally, in your opinion, more company specific training that is needed, or is it actually a just a sales skill that they need that would be helpful for them to continue with that growth?
I think it's probably a combination of that. Um, I the sales skill training, I think, or the lack of it impacts more of the turnover at the early stage jobs. And I mean, if you look at turnover in the SDR and BDM and AE level, it's absolutely stunning. It's horrendous. So that to me is, let me give you the right training. Instead of come in, we're going to teach you the product for 3 days and we're going to throw you to the wolves. We're going to give you a quota and expect you to meet it in 6 months. And if you don't, you're gone. And I'm not saying that all companies do that. There are a lot of companies that are doing a good job of providing, sales skills training. But I would venture to say, if you look at the numbers of individuals that just, that are turning over at the early stages of their sales career, um, they're what's being provided is inadequate. I'm talking about really something different, though. When I do believe that when you start progressing up and you get to that manager level, and then you get to the director level, and then you start, progressing up through the VP level. That is a different set of skills and training that is required. That's more around people leadership and um, uh, more around leadership skills and how to gain consensus and conflict resolution. And then just even being able to provide to say, in order for you to get from point A to point B to point C, these are the exact things that you need to do. This is the exact training that you need. This is the results that we need to see. And it's great. It's just great. So I think, and I think it's more of a women problem, but I think it's just a problem overall. That right? I mean, it probably impacts women more because there's so much fewer women that are actually getting into those levels of positions. So from a numbers perspective, it's more impactful in terms of the percentage of women that it impacts. But I think the broken rung is an issue overall. And companies just need to do a better job of providing that kind of training and um, career paths so that individuals don't get frustrated and leave and turn over. Because if you don't, all you're doing is spending your time filling empty buckets.
So I'm curious. You mentioned leadership, management, and conflict resolution for individuals kind of moving up in the organization. When do you think is the right time for somebody that is in sales? They're moving up. They know where they want to go. They know they want to move up that chain, right? When is the right time to start mentoring and teaching them these traits?
The earlier, the better. That it's hard to say, well, when somebody gets promoted to a manager, that's when you need to start training those skills. I think that those kinds of skills, like building confidence, and there's so many things, right? Like I just mentioned three things. There's a lot
Oh,
more.
there's a lot more. Yeah.
There's a lot more training that I believe needs to happen. But I think that even if those things are integrated as a part of your curriculum early on, the earlier the better. In fact, we're training a lot of those things in Girls Who Sell Academy. We're teaching it to high school students and to college age women. And frankly, I want to get younger. I want to start teaching these kinds of skill sets, at 5 years old, and in elementary school, and continue to reinforce them along the way. So as individuals, as women, begin to progress up into these management level positions, that it's an innate skill set that then just gets reinforced in the training that's provided, within an organization as you begin moving up the career ladder. So, I believe younger is better. The other thing that I think doesn't happen enough, and again, this is just my personal opinion, but is that companies have an opportunity to do a better job at succession planning and identifying talent that they believe have the skills and capabilities to be able to progress up through the organization. And that, I think that needs to be done earlier than later. And whether it's in customer success or whether it's in sales or any position, quite frankly, within an organization, companies need to really begin to look at their early stage talent and begin to identify individuals that they feel have the right foundation to build on, so that they're not going out and having to hire externally, that they're building their talent internally, and that they can have a pool of individuals that they can that they can promote up through the organization. that's just it's gonna decrease turnover. It's gonna increase loyalty. And I think there's a lot of different reasons why organizations need to do that. And then spend money and invest in them.
Invest in your people.
Invest in your people. You're spending a lot of money filling empty buckets and going to replace them. Why don't you just, wouldn't it be better use of your dollars to just invest in the people that you have? I don't know. Seems logical to me, but
you have your own business now. So
yeah. I have control of that.
There you go. There you go. So Heidi, now today, I'm going to get a different answer when I ask this question. Why would people reach out to you? And how would they reach out to you?
Yeah, actually the how is the same. I'm really accessible on LinkedIn. I encourage people to reach out. And although I'm getting more protective of my time, I do carve out some time on my calendar for coffee chats, and am super passionate about mentoring and helping other people progress in their careers. So hopefully that won't get taken out of context, and that it's not still incredibly important to me to do that. So LinkedIn is the best way. If someone's listening and they're like, "Oh, Girls Who Sell," if you're a high school age woman or college aged woman, and you want to learn more about Girls Who Sell in our cohorts and training program and our scholarship programs, you can go to www.girlswhosell.com. That's girls with a Z, GIRLZ, whosell.com. And then if we're always looking for corporate sponsors. Our programs are 100% free to our students. And so we, rely on corporate sponsors and partners and our colleges and universities and high schools to enable us to build the next generation of future sales leaders. So reach out. If the program sounds interesting and you want it, call me. If you want to learn more about how to get involved.
Well, Heidi, thank you for coming back and coming.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me.
And for everybody else, thanks for joining us, and we will see you again next time. As we wrap up the episode, we would like to take this time to thank you for joining us this week on Unexpected Journey. Our guest information will be linked in the episode description, along with a link to our host website, annbib.com, and our sponsors' websites, remoteevolution.com, ethossupport.com, and yourcohort.co. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on your favorite podcast app and on our YouTube channel so that you never miss an episode and we can continue to bring them to you. Let us know your thoughts on what we discussed in the comment section. And once again, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again next time on Unexpected Journey.